right. And as we've been following the news out of Austin, as of Monday afternoon, only 6 of the 62 Democrats in the Texas House showed up for work. In doing so, they denied the GOP-dominated chamber the minimum necessary attendance needed to convene. And joining us now is Harold Dutton Jr. He is a Democratic member of the Texas House of Representatives representing District 142. Welcome to Hello Houston, Representative Dutton.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And Representative, just for clarity's sake, you are one of the Democrats that is not in Austin for this session. As I understand it, you are in the Chicagoland area, as we like to call it. Your thoughts and feelings on how this activity of these Democrats is being perceived in Austin?
Well, again, Austin, is Austin. They will put a spin on whatever it is that takes place. But the point is, I want to make is this, is that the reason we have a democracy and have a constitution is because we never let the majority do what they want to, do anything they want to. There is certain to be some protections for, if you're not in the majority, there are certain to be protections for the minority. And so we believe here at this point in time, all of those protections are being overridden by what's proposed at this time in the Texas legislature. We believe we have to do something that requires us to draw attention to the fact that the rights of the minority population is being eroded by what they're doing. And that's why we're here, because we believe those rights have to be protected.
Well, Representative, a unique situation you bring in here is the fact for the amount of time you have served, one of the longest serving, if not the longest serving member of the House. And I'm curious, we have gone through redistricting and reworking of these maps many times in the past. Outside of the fact that this is happening off cycle, happening in the middle of a 10-year cycle, differences you see in the approach to drawing these maps or drawing this particular map, how this is different than what we've seen before?
Well, clearly the reason for redrawing of the maps has been basically drawn out by the U.S. Census. That's where we take a look at the whole population in this country. And then as a result of that population, we have systematically developed redistricting lines around that population. However, this time, as you mentioned, it was done because apparently there was a letter that the state of Texas received from the person in the White House saying that he wanted 5 more seats out of Texas. Now, that to me says that you are willing, if you're going to do that, if you're going to follow that, you're certainly ignoring the population in Texas, and certainly you could draw the seats so that I guess you could eradicate the minority altogether. But that's not what democracy calls for. Democracy calls for us to make sure that we don't only go back to a system where only the strong survive, that we have a system where we encourage everybody to participate in it. And what this procedure is doing is eliminating that possibility.
Sir, it's Frank Billingsley. How many times can the Democrats do this to ward off this Republican strategy?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by how many times, but
how many weeks can you stay in Chicago, and how many special legislatures can you leave?
Well, I don't really have an answer for that. I don't know that. I don't know that if you're asking, can we stay forever? The answer is no. We couldn't stay forever. But that doesn't mean we ought not to fight.
True.
We ought not to use the idea of having a breaking the quorum now to justify doing it.
And Representative Dutton, as you talk about the fight, and a second ago you said you all are bringing attention to this legislation, and you all are receiving a lot of attention on a national level. But do you believe this will make a long-term difference in preserving democracy?
Well, the thing, as I said before, if somehow or another democracy ends up eliminating the participation of the minority, mm-hmm. I think that's the greatest threat to our democracy than anything, because democracy at that point will fail from inside. It won't be because somebody came in and took over. It will be because the internal ingredients to have a democracy were upset so badly that democracy got X'd out simply because it no longer lived up to the principles of democracy, which is one of them is. And the greatest principle in democracy is having the participation, at least, of the minority.
Representative, I do want to ask your opinion on, I've heard this bandied back and forth about the concept of breaking quorum, as though you're not allowed to do that, but then I've heard others say that that is the specific reason why they have such a thing as a quorum, is because then it does give you this tool. What's your understanding of breaking quorum and what it means legally?
Well, quorum is like anything else. It's in the rules, and the rules, as I mentioned before, it generally have been designed to make sure that the powerful don't take over the less than powerful. That's what rules are designed for. If things are going to be adequately done everywhere, then you don't need to have rules. You can do it by a shake of the hand, I suppose. But because we have rules, that's designed to protect the interest so that the majority don't run over the minority. And if in the rules we have a provision that says you need to have a certain number of people present to conduct business, then that's designed to protect the minority again. Mm-hmm. And so the minority's use of that rule ought not to be castigated, as some people are trying to do, but applauded. I think that's what ought to happen.
And you're listening to Hello Houston. We are speaking to Representative Harold Dutton of District 142, who is currently in Chicago, and we do have a call on the line. Danny from Northwest Houston, what is your comment or question for Representative Dutton?
And that's and this is Northeast Houston. And I'm actually in Representative Dutton's district. Actually, he knows me. I actually ran against him last cycle. But my question to him is this: we have seen the Democrats come back the last few sessions, being bemoaning about these things have been pushed down their throat. This time it's a map. This past session it was vouchers. Before then it was this anti-CRT bill. The question is, are the Democrats, while they're absconding from the state right now, are they having a discussion about districts like ours that historically have a lower turnout? Are they going to look to figure out how to turn out to make sure that this is not at least to give the Republicans a decent fight on the state level, so they're not pushed around in this manner? I don't know. In our specific district, 56,000 people out of 96 registered thousand voters voted in this last presidential cycle, which is about as big as it gets. What are we doing to reach the other 40 and then the other of the other people who are unregistered?
Danny, thank you for that question. Representative, your thoughts.
Well, one of the questions we have raised with the National Democratic Party is their past attention to Texas, because, as you know, they have not been the best when it comes to having provided the resources to Texas to be able to increase voter turnout and fight some of the things that we Democrats have tried to fight. That has certainly been an objective in all of this. I will tell you even more than that. On last Saturday, not this past Saturday, but Saturday a week ago, what I did was I had a breakfast in the district with all of the precinct judges in my district. And I explained to them that the choice was, designed to go and break the quorum. But what I wanted from them was, I wanted them to think about this. Think about the fact that in the last election, presidential election, I think one vote per precinct increase would have changed the outcome. And so what I wanted from them was a commitment that they were going to raise the voter count in their district at least by 5, so that they get 5 more voters than they've gotten at the last election to participate. And so I appreciate the question, but I think that one of the things we've got to do is elevate everybody's attitude toward getting and participating in this democracy by voting.
Let me jump a little. I want to pull out a little bit from Danny's question, though, and ask you this. What are the discussions you folks are having while you are in Chicago, while you're out of the district and this is going on? When you meet amongst yourselves, what are you planning? What are you talking about?
Well, what we're talking about really is just trying to make sure, number one, first of all, that we get the message out properly, while the other side is suggesting all kinds of things that we were fleeing, for example, from our responsibility to our district. We have been focusing on making sure that people understand that we were not fleeing from anything. We were fighting for democracy. We're fighting for democracy. And what we're doing is trying to make sure that message gets out all over the place so that people understand what they've got to do to help us. Now, and the thing is that, like I said before, we're talking to the National Democratic Party people about their positions regarding Texas and how the fact that in some cases they have just kind of ignored Texas, and that's what causes us to find us where we are.
We're speaking with Representative Harold Dutton. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. We do have a call on the line. Colby from Southeast Houston. Colby, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Representative Dutton?
Hey, thank you so much. I'm wondering if anybody, or if Mr. Dutton knows if anybody's done the math on this national thing that's now happening. The minute the Texas Republicans did this, I thought to myself, well, how long will it be till Governor Newsom in California gets involved, which, we are now seeing happen. This may be a little early in the conversation, but I'm curious where this one-upmanship leads, like how many states can get involved, how many dominoes fall in this state-by-state response to this thing, which seems really dangerous to me. So
Colby,
I don't know if it's too early in the conversation, but thank you.
No, great question, and I think we're all curious about it. I don't know, Representative Dutton, if you were in the contingent that went and met with Gavin Newsom. I know some of our state Democrats did.
I was not, but I know that they've gone to meet with Gavin Newsom. They've gone to meet with the governor of New York, and we've met with certainly the governor here of Illinois. And I think that the general consensus has been that to the extent that the current administration is trying to improve the numbers in red states, there's going to be a concerted effort in blue states to increase their numbers of Democrats. And so while that happens to be counter, I think that causes us to end up right back at the same place we are now.
So then I guess a lot of people are curious, where does it all end? How do we have any civility in this whole thing if it's all just one-upsmanship over and over again? Everyone's looking where they can grab another seat and sway the political will of the people.
Well, I hope where it ends, and my prayer is that it ends in more people participating in our democracy by going to the polls and voting. For example, I've looked at these maps that have been proposed in Austin. One of the things they've done is they've looked at, I think, the latest voting patterns to dictate how the maps are drawn. However, if you go back and look at times when we've had higher voter turnouts, some of these maps don't turn nearly as red as the people drawing them think they do. And so there could be a lot of surprises given the fact that voter turnout is raised. Now, one of the things you do when you eliminate people's choices in a race, and particularly when what we've tried to do and what they're trying to do is have the representative pick their own people as opposed to have the people pick the representative in an election. But to the extent that that happens, there could, like I said, there could be some significant changes in the electorate versus a down year in voting versus an upswing in voting. And so the whole thing I'm hoping is that people decide they're going to vote, because the worst thing for democracy is for people not to participate.
Right.
You're listening to Hello Houston. We are speaking with Representative Dutton, who is currently in Chicago, and Linda from Northeast Houston is on the line. Linda, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question?
Well, I just say amen, amen, amen. Just because he's a bully, even because he's bigger than you, even because he's got more money, it doesn't mean that you just give him your lunch money, honey. Not from lunch. But I've lived long enough in Houston to tell you that this whole thing has been a concerted effort to dismantle your Democrats in your large counties. Harris County has been on the map. I've lived long enough in Houston to remember when Republicans were not in charge. And they used to assail and clinch and say, oh, they're not being represented. We are not being represented. And the reason, and look at what is the difference when we are not being represented. Education is gone. When you had the COVID, Sheila Jackson Lee had to sit in the parking lot so that they wouldn't charge us $140 for a COVID test. And wouldn't give out vaccinations unless she sat in the parking lot. I don't know why you're trying to think that this is something that they're doing that's so fair or so wonderful. Right here in Texas, the one thing I disagreed with I don't know whether you're a senator or what, even though I've campaigned for you. But Mr. Our legislator went over was the way they took over Houston Independent School District for a test that went nowhere, that did nothing, just control. I want to be an authoritarian, and I don't care what it is. You on the bottom, I'm on the top, and you just learn how to live with it.
Linda, I'm gonna stop you right there because time is tight, and Dutton happens to be our Texas House representative representing District 142, just to clarify the title he has there, and one of the longest serving members in the House. I guess as we get to wrapping this up, a quick question for you, sir, is what happens next? How long do you think this can go on? Do you have a plan? Where to?
Well, I to be honest with you, I'm not sure how long it can go on. I know it can't go on forever, but short of that, I can't really answer the question of how long it takes place. My hope though, is that cooler heads will prevail at some point, and that rather than continuing this idea that somehow or another is now prevalent that we are shirking our responsibilities and avoiding what our constituents sent us to Austin to do.
Representative Dutton, are you worried about being arrested?
Not really.
So the fact that the governor has said that they would essentially have asked the state to investigate to potentially arrest you and the other Democrats that you're in Chicago, you're not concerned about that at all?
No, I'm not concerned about that at all. As a lawyer, I'm more than comfortable with the law protecting us from being arrested, because I'm not sure that whatever warrants they have are sufficient in terms of the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Representative, thank you for joining us. We're going to stay on this story. We'll continue to be speaking with other lawmakers as this continues, but we really appreciate your taking the time.
And that was Democratic.
Yeah, well, thank you all, and thank you for all the questions, too. And I think, as I said when I started, the question really is, will democracy survive?
That's a fair question.
Democratic member of the Texas House of Representatives representing District 142, Harold Dutton Jr. Thank you for joining us on Hello Houston.